Let's get it, 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 let's go. Let's get it, 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 let's go. Let's get it, 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 let's. And okay, everybody, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. How y'all doing? Yay! We're finally made it to this day. Yay! Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to see each of you here again with me on this very important special engagement. How's everybody doing?
Well, great.
Good, good, good. So welcome back, Grief Nation listeners, and thank you for tuning into a very important day for us all. This is our first live broadcast on It's the Miami Night Show Grief Talk. And today on the show, we have 5 amazing women who are a part of the gun violence prevention movement and also are trauma advocates who have a huge part of my testimony of the work we do to support and honor and care for ourselves, each other, and our communities. So today's segment is called Black on Black Violence Healing Day. We're going to jump all into what that means in a little bit. But first, let me introduce to you 5 of the most influential teachers, mentors, healers of our time. And if you have a candle, please go ahead at this time and grab your candles and make sure that you have it ready because we're also going to do a candle lighting ceremony. So if any of our guests are here, please make sure you have a candle and we're going to do that. So first up, I'm going to introduce this very important, beautiful lady, Olga Williams, who is the co-founder of Dominique's World, and she's a beautiful bonus mom, entrepreneur, and a gift and mentor to married couples and the youth. And next up is Javonya McDowell, founder of JavonyaMcDowell.com. She's a spoken word artist and also an author and advocate. So please, ladies, if you could please put your website link in the chat or your email so that our guests can see your amazing work or support you in some kind of way. I also want to mention that Javonya and Olga are 2 new co-authors in the book Beautiful Resilience, which is a new release book on grief and about gun violence and also other losses. Right now they're in pre-sale, and please go to their websites to get a copy today. So please do that for us. And next up, I want to talk to you about another very important lady, which is Nicole Villafane. And she's a realtor in the Atlanta area who's helping families and communities building Black wealth. Yes, building Black wealth and healthy families. Thank you so much, Nicole, for being here, sweetheart. Also, got to introduce my next person who is my good trouble buddy. Yes, my good trouble buddy, I call her Charmaine Brown of Jared Hearts of Success, a community outreach organization in Georgia and South Carolina, educating and empowering the youth through gun violence and group violence intervention. Thank you so much, Charmaine, for being here. And also, it will be Angel Smith, our baby of the group, our sister baby that we love, love, love so much, a woman of great faith, a mother, a nursing student who's joined our group, showcasing her talents and gifts by using her voice to make a difference in our community and our sisterhood. Thank you so much. So welcome. You're welcome, sweetheart. Welcoming everyone here today. So thank you for being here. Just so grateful for all of you. And we're going to get into the program today in hopes to heal our communities through engaging conversations on where we can start building on ways to openly speak our piece. So we're going to go into a grounding statement. So if we have guests here, please, get comfortable, get comfortable, get comfortable. sit back and relax with us. This is something that I do as a grief guide. I also make sure that we ground ourselves. So, wherever you're sitting in the space that you're in, we're going to just take a couple of deep breaths, close our eyes so that we can ground ourselves into this moment. So, let's try doing that if everybody is ready. So, let's just take a few moments and we're going to breathe deeply. Breathe in, and we're going to hold it for 4. So, let's 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. Hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release. One more time. Breathe in and hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release. One more time. We're going to breathe in and hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. Hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release with a sigh, keeping your eyes closed. But I want you to relax. Just take a few deep breaths on your own to connect with your heart space. And let's give thanks to the Creator for the understanding of how to heal Black on Black violence and how we can incorporate our knowledge to create change. Let whatever we need to receive come forth, and whatever we need to purge, let's feel it, let's face it, let's forgive it, and then let's free it. I'm going to say that one more time. We're going to feel it, we're going to face it, we're going to forgive it, then free it. In full faith, so be it. Ashe, amen.
Amen.
All
Amen.
right, all right, all right, all right, all right. And that was our grounding statement. And so, if everyone can get their candles, we're going to go into our candle lighting ceremony.
We light this candle of grief as a reflection of what we love. We light this candle of courage, the ability to harness our fears in a positive way, creating strength. We light this candle of hope, feelings of expectation, and desires with peace, faith, and love. We light this candle of memory, remembrance of the spirit. We light this candle of light of love. Memories still live on and burns bright in our hearts.
Thank you, Angel.
Yeah.
I am Olga Williams, and we are here today to speak on Black violence. Today is our healing day, and I'm just going to read part of the proclamation to you. Whereas community engagement for frank conversations with survivors of tragic loss due to gun violence and other violence acts. This forum will empower individuals and families to use their voices to enact change by creating awareness through talks to save lives and preventable engagements, no matter how uncomfortable these topics can be. And
Javanya, we can't hear you.
Whereas everyday violent crime such as theft, assault, rape, sexual assault, robbery, stalking, intimidation, and property crimes make up the most committed incidents perpetrated by Black people against other Black people. And
whereas individuals and communities as a whole experience any number of grief reactions, such as emotional, cognitive, and behavioral due to a traumatic incident and or events. These lasting adverse effects cause individuals and families to experience the loss of their sense of safety, their trust in those who live in their neighborhood, or their trust in the local community. And
whereas on December 2011, 2 people were shot to include on December 2011, 2 people were shot to include the 17-year-old son, Ty Key of Miami Knight, and his best friend, Keandrick, from the backseat of a car. Keandrick died. Ty Key miraculously survived his traumatic brain injury. The loss of his best friend would stick with Ty Key for over 5 years. On January 2017, Ty Key was shot and killed himself with a gun. And
whereas this healing day was inspired by founder Miami Knight of Miami Knight LLC, a grief education and training company that specializes in healing, bereavement, grief, and loss recovery, and trauma-informed best practices after loss or a life-altering event. In these challenging times, action, messages of hope, and healing are more needed now than ever before.
Now, therefore, I, Larry Johnson, on behalf of DeKalb County and its more than 75,000 citizens, do hereby declare the first Sunday in May 2021 to be Black on Black Violence Healing Day. I encourage all citizens to support their local community efforts to prevent traumatic efforts caused by violent acts and to honor and value human lives through understanding grief and ways to heal our community. Proclaim this second day of May 2nd. Larry Johnson, Commissioner Larry Johnson, District 3. I just want to send a very special shout out to the Honorable Larry Johnson of DeKalb County and District 3 and his staff for working with me on this proclamation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And next we have Javanya McDowell, spoken word.
Yes, this is very necessary and needed for our communities for healing on Black and Black violence. It's a subject that we don't talk about often, but it's necessary. So my poem is titled, Dear Our Black Sons and Daughters. I wish that we can heal that ache that pierces your soul when you ask, why do they hate me? Or why do we hate each other? I wish that as women and or mothers with the nurturing spirit that we could heal those words that wound our very existence. My skin is darker and yet I'm hated and feared for just my mere existence. What about my skin color to my brother or sister? I wish that as men and our fathers, that they could speak to that broken son or daughter that's crying out, Daddy, would they ever see me as equal? Will my sister see me as a sister and my brother as a brother, equal in love, love to all, to fill all voids and not harm or hurt one another? My Black is beautiful, or will it always be my Black is a threat? Or my Black doesn't matter to someone that looks like me because the disrespect and disregard to human life. When I hear, I'll put your face on a t-shirt. What about the lives left behind in a community filled with a sea of tears? No matter what words are hurled at you as an attempt to break you or tear you down, I want to remind you that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Every fiber of you was knitted together in love in a woven canvas of sheer bliss. Where did we go wrong? Your image is the likeness of your creator. The Almighty God is the reason you exist. You were knitted together in your mother's womb. All of your inward parts were formed. The color of your skin was chosen in that moment, and it is beautiful with every drop of melanin and the sun that glistens to your tone. I wish that you didn't have to travel these roads, march, protest, or bear witness to an unnatural experience. Black on Black violence needs to stop because fathers and mothers are burying their children, spouses are burying their spouses, and children are burying their parents. And this vicious cycle puts one in prison and the other in a grave. I want you to know that you matter. Your life matters, and everything that concerns you matter. You would not answer to labels or titles that the world attempts to categorize you or box you in, for you are more than a category, a hashtag, a number, or a statistic. You are a winner. You are loved. You are capable. You are equipped. You are beautiful. Your skin color, you will embrace it because it was chosen especially for you. Your skin color is not a curse. Your Black is beautiful. Your community should be a safe haven, woven in love and peace, a place in which you shall be uplifted and encouraged. Black on Black violence is something that has bled through our communities for years. Yellow tape that indicates caution, but we know what it all means. Generations snuffed out. We will never be free in America where there is no change, and that starts within our communities. You are not a mistake. You are not a thug. You are kings and queens. Thank you for your existence. Today, we are in need of healing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Javanya. Next, Charmaine Brown. Is there anything in the chat box?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Now we're going to go into our segment on which we had our part one of the podcast. Olga Williams.
Yeah, so on our podcast, we discussed, and I know you guys need to go back and, watch it. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. But we talked about Black on Black violence and how it has affected us in our community. And I believe that I can actually speak on this topic because my bonus son, Dominique, was killed by an individual who was brown, Black, just like he was. And so we talked a lot about how we can try to prevent Black on Black violence. And I believe that it starts with our foundations. It starts with us loving ourselves and just doing whatever we can do in our communities, because we got to realize that we are important. We need to realize that your Black skin is great. We have to have some accountability for the things that we do, because the Black on Black violence is affecting all of these lives. And a lot of you tuning in, it's probably affecting your life as well. And we don't want you to be a part of this group with us. So let's do what we can do in our communities, and let's stop the Black on Black violence.
Thank you, Olga. Is it anyone else that would like to share in regards to Black on Black violence?
Yes, I would chime in. We are the most underserved, the most under-resourced, the most under in every community. If you go in our communities, you see check cashing places, Title Max, you see all of these places, liquor store, this store, that store, that comes into our communities. There isn't anything that's uplifting in our communities where we're showing people that there is a way that you can have financial literacy that needs to be taught. We know that Black on Black violence is an issue. It is an issue that we need to address, because all of us that's on this particular Zoom and those that are watching have experienced that from someone that looks like us. And so there's a level of mistrust that we have because of that. And so, yes, Black on Black violence is something that needs to be talked about. We need to talk about it regularly because it does exist. It is real. And we shy away from it so many times, and we shun it out like it doesn't exist. But in reality, it does exist. And we need to address it, because I shouldn't look at my sister or my brother and think that, their life is disvalued or devalued and I'm going to take their life. That shouldn't be anything that we're engaging in our communities. And so it starts with you and I. It starts with us being that bridge of hope for our community to bring the change and be the change agent that the world needs to see, because they need to see our faces and see that our lives matter. Like Olga said, our lives matter, and we have to address it every single chance that we get. We have to encourage our youth. Your life matter. Your life matter. Some fathers right now, their legacy ends when their son lives are taken. There's no more last name that goes on. Of course, if they have daughters, they can hyphenate their names, but that legacy of being that junior, that senior, that first, that second, that third, it ends right there. And I think that needs to be addressed, and we need to bring that to the forefront of the table and have this discussion.
Absolutely. Well
I
said.
totally agree. And another thing too, I think that we have to be more heighten our vigilance on is knowing that gun violence, it crosses all socioeconomic statuses. There's no safe place when it comes down to gun violence. And most oftentimes, so I second everything that Jovanya just said, but, most oftentimes we are reactive in gun violence, whereas it's a much better approach for us to be proactive and for everyone to get involved now while we have a chance, because after we've lost our loved ones, after we have vigils, and after we see a community gathering with t-shirts on, at that point, it is too late. So we all share the common sentiment of not one more. And that's another aspect that I think, the community at large just needs to get more concerned about it.
I just want to add to what you said, Angel. We have all these organizations. Charmaine has an organization. I have an organization. But it's like the kids or the families that need to come and be a part of our organization. Not saying that they're not important, the ones that do attend, but the children that actually need to attend my events are the ones whose moms call and say, well, I can drop them off. No, we're having an event for the whole family. We need you to come. We need you to be a part. We need for you to hear the stories also as a parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Just as we discussed on our podcast, Olga, about the parents who are the PTA issue. You know, I wanted to call it the PTA syndrome. Our community doesn't show up to the PTA meetings because they just got off work, they're tired. We need to get out of that I'm tired syndrome, I want to rest syndrome, I don't have time syndrome. Like just the same as not wanting to go to the games that you pay to get your child involved in, but you drop them off so that you can go and hang out with your friends and your girlfriends and have a couple of drinks, as if the game is a babysitter. Mm-hmm. We have to get out of this mentality that we have, which I call it is the slave mentality, that it wasn't broken from generations to generations. We're still trying to break that generational curse in this community. And the other thing that I wanted to point out too is that we need to get our community on fire. Don't wait till it's too late, because see, I have witnessed this myself, where people have said to me, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. Oh, my condolences. They're not on fire, marching down the streets, holding up signs, enough is enough, not one more. That's us that's doing it, because we've been affected by that. But then I'll get that email, I'll get that text, I'll get that messenger. Oh, such and such, they just lost their son to gun violence. Oh, okay. I remember when I was trying to get everybody on fire to, support our movement. And it was just kudos, good for you that you're doing that. Don't wait till it's your child. Don't wait till it's your husband. Don't wait till it's your loved one and then say, it's got to stop. You need to be on fire right now saying it needs to stop before it affects your household, before you're sitting on this side of the screen, before you're getting counseling and therapy to make it to the next day. That's what you need to do. And I'm speaking to our community because our community needs to hear it.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And it leads back to what Angel said. We have to be active instead of reactive. A lot of our things, we have to be proactive instead of reactive. A lot of times in our communities, we're reacting to something that's already happened. And you can be physically present with your child, a physical being, but emotionally, spiritually, and mentally absent. And see, that's where the issue is, because kids, you have to get away from that do as I say and not as I do, because kids are watching our every move. They're imitating, they're mimicking, they see it, they're living with it. They're like sponges. They're sucking up everything that we do, we say. We're in their presence, so they see what we're doing and saying. And so if we show them that level of care, and we've all said it, Olga said it, Nicole and Angel and Charmaine and Miami, as far as being the foundation, we have to get to the root cause of what is going on within our communities. And a lot of it is the family dynamics. We cannot get away without talking about the family dynamics, where the shift of the family dynamics have changed. You have grandmothers that's raising children, grandmothers that now, and I'm going off subject because you have COVID, and grandparents aren't as versed with a lot of things when it comes to technology. Now these kids are doing online school, and so you're losing a lot of kids because of this, because they're not more engaged, and the grandparents can't undergird them to be there every step of the way, because the grandparents are older. So it's a lot of things when it comes to family dynamics, and we have these uncles and aunts and things that are in the family that have to step up. Don't step back, step up to the plate. Stop being on the sideline, get in the game, because our kids need to know that their lives matter. They need to know that they're appreciated. They need to know that they are well respected, that they matter in every aspect of that. And that takes all of us in terms of that village. We can go back to when we were kids. It took a village, and it takes a village to not just raise a child, but to save a child. Because if I see a child that's not doing what they need to do, as a village, a person of that village, I need to step up and say, hey, look, let's get this together. Let's have this conversation. Let's find what we can do. But so often, within the school communities is different, because you have the schools that's saying, well, we've done all that we can do. This is what we can. When it comes to Black children, we've done all that we can do. But when it comes to white students, it's what resources can we give you to help you? And so we have to be the advocates for our children. And I think, Nicole, you brought up that about PTA, being involved in every aspect of your child's life. That's every aspect, even if they're adults, you still be involved, where you still help inspire them. You still have those conversations with them. Just because they're a certain age doesn't rectify and say you're no longer the parent. No, you probably can't be there all the time 24/7, but at the end of the day, you play an intricate part in your child's upbringing. From the time that they're born, from the time that they're in their womb, everything that you do, from the time that they're in your womb, everything that you do matters to them. So when they come out your womb, everything that you do matters. It matters. It matters what you put in your body. It matters what you consume. It matters. Everything matters. And so your children are watching that. And so we have to be those advocates every step of the way for our children. We can't let them get lost in the system. We have to be their advocates. We can't just say, oh, okay, well, I have 5 kids and I can only focus on this one. No, we have to focus on all of our children. And it takes a village to raise and save our children.
Now, having this conversation and talking about what we need to do, what is the solution? I know Charmaine and also Olga have youth programs, but what is actually the solution? I know we stated that parents need to get more involved. Do you or your organization have specific things for parents to be engaged in? Not just, I know you have the youth programs, but is there something specific just for parents to make them feel more welcome and to be engaged? I know it's like we have to teach them as well what to do to be more engaged. So is that something that we need to bring or make programs in our services that could, bring the parents in to, if it's a leadership course for the parents? I don't know, maybe is that a solution? What do we need to do? We're talking about all these things that sounds great, that I've heard them all before, but we're still here. So what is the solution?
You're absolutely right. I'm sitting here listening to each one of the statements that just went before what I'm about to say. And it's so true. It's almost like we have all types of programs, but you can hardly get the children there. But in order to get the children there, the parents have to bring them. The children can't drive themselves. So
Right.
it has to be a network of family support. It has to be a network of family support. The kids are underage, they can't drive. So if the parents not bringing them, they won't be able to get there. It goes back to each one, teach one. Not the parents have to be actively engaged and participating, but not just dropping them off like I so often see within my own organization are not participating at all within whatever programs that you put forth. It starts to me with the parents. If you stand up, you can't be sitting on the sidelines always wanting to see. When my kids were younger and whatever sports they were in, I was the basketball mom. Same thing with my daughters. I was not sitting, I couldn't see my daughters dance. And I was always the parent behind the stage or from the side because I was back there making sure that they get dressed. The parents are not going to always be able to see what's going on when it's time for a lifetime performance. You have to be the one actively engaged and participating and making sure they get to the events and attend the events with them as a group, as a cohort. It takes a village, and it's going to take us going back to what our parents used to instill in us and how our parents used to be there and as an active participant. It's the only way it's going to work if we get more parental involvement. I can have programs all day, there are organizations out there on almost every corner now with free programs. There's not one program that I have had since the inception of Jared's Heart of Success that I have charged a fee for. They have always been free programs, and you still can't get the participation, to help the children, much less the parents too. So
Charmaine, can you tell us about your programs? Can you share some of the programs so parents that are listening or individuals that may know, and also the individuals that are on here that have programs and services? These organizations accept donations. So maybe that the things that you do to help and give to these donations, they can get support, like getting other partners to maybe be a service to pick up and drop off. So remember, your donations are very important to each of these ladies' organizations to support them. Charmaine, can you speak on your on the programs and services that you provide?
I thought I lost you. Well, we have health and wellness programs, and those programs are for parents as well. We have financial literacy for adults. We have quarterly sessions for adults and youth. We have youth empowerment sessions. We have leadership development sessions, mentoring sessions, all the programs that we host. We always have programs, quarterly sessions for the parents as well. Even though
Olga?
it's been virtual, we've been having virtual sessions too.
Okay. Thank you, Charmaine. Olga?
So with Dominique's World, we collaborate with other organizations such as the Male Dreamers. It's an organization that brings the little young kings together to inspire them to be great young men, and it also makes sure that their academics are on point. I mean, Robert Jordan and his team is phenomenal. So we collaborate with them. We also collaborate with the Frank Callens Boys and Girls Club. I go in and I do like a mentoring group with the girls. And now we've actually added the little young men to my group. And so it's right. It starts with the foundation. It does. We have all these things going on, but you barely do see parents show up. You do. You barely see parents. And, you know, a lot of times I can speak a lot into it, the youth. I can speak all day, but sometimes they need to hear from their parents also.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Miami Night LLC is a grief organization where I help support not only women, but that's my target audience, which is women that are success-driven women that want to move forward in their lives. I mean, we all look very good on paper with our organizations, but sometimes we still have some of those unresolved issues that we have not handled. And that's my target audience, but I do support all grievers of all types of loss. But that goes back to the family foundation of helping us heal first ourselves and then our family lineage, our, you know, talking to our children, like we've said over and over and over. I'm sure every parent and every also Angel is a wife. I know we've spoken to their lives, telling them what to do right and wrong. Still, we are here. Even while we were doing the right things for our children and our spouse. So but all we can do is keep going and continuing on. I think that's why it's very important that we are having this this talk today, and that we are declaring that this is Black on Black violence, a healing day, because we have decided that we're not going to sit on the sidelines anymore, and that we are going to talk about it, because we should be able to, and everybody should be okay with us talking about it. I think there was some questions. Do we have it in the chat box, or Nicole, or either Charmaine? Okay.
I had a question, Miami, that came about. He texted me. It's Robert Jordan, who's actually the founder of the Male Dreamers Youth Development Program here in Savannah.
Yes.
And he said it's called the "Don't Have Time for Parent Syndrome." They don't have time to be parents. That's what they call it. And Mr. Jordan is correctly right. He's right.
Thank you so much for your comment.
I think with that, it's
trying to be friends with their kids. You know, at a certain point. Now you have to be friends with them because this is the new millennium.
Yeah.
But you have to draw the line with your friendships.
There's got to be a disciplinarian too.
Hey, okay,
for sure.
You know, I want Lindsay to love me, but she's got to respect me.
Yes.
Parents need to get their respect back from their kids also.
Yes.
I know my daughter told me this morning, she said, "Oh, I want to be the fun parent." I said, "You can't only be the fun parent. You got to also be a disciplinarian too."
Yes.
Be the parent.
Got to be balanced.
And that's
and may I add something quickly? I'm sorry, Joanne.
No, go ahead, Angel.
I also wanted just to add to everything that we've said, just talking about solutions. Like, a lot of people, there are resources out here that some people will never tap into. But as a surviving spouse of gun violence, I can say, outside of counseling, you know, hope is a mystical element that we talk about. For a lot of people, have no idea what hope is about. But I just want to encourage everyone that may be listening to never forget about, you know, we can always go back to God. And I think a lot of healing, I know the foundation of healing, it comes from Jesus Christ himself. And when we tap into that source, it allows all these other natural resources to flow closer to our hearts, where it can heal our hearts. I feel like the topic of gun violence and Black on Black violence is all rooted in not really letting love abide. So therefore, there is no peace, there's no joy, because, you know, there's no love. And, you know, I offer everyone just to, you know, whatever your belief system may be, you know, just to tap back into hope, and knowing that even though it's a lot that's going on around us in terms of, you know, social inequities, and I can go on and on and on, you know, just to hang on to hope for better days, and just to clean up our heart space.
Thank you so much. Charmaine, is there anything in the chat box?
Yes, I see one question, and the question is, are parents dropping their kids off because they have other kids they have to attend to, maybe have childcare for younger kids? Can you make it easier for parents to attend? And for me, yes, I do offer childcare. We do have always have space where the parents can join us with the children, or if you feel like the children is too young for whatever the topic is, we always have someone there, for the kids on their age level. So yes. And then the second question was, what suggestions do you have to engage parents to participate? Olga, want to answer that one?
What suggestions do we have? Well, the suggestion that I have is I just need the parents to participate. We have free food. We do food. We offer music. We make it like it's a whole field day.
Yeah.
And the parents still call and say, "Hi, is this Dominique's World?" Yes, it is. Okay, I see you're having an event. What time does my son need to be there? Ma'am, it's the I Am conference. We're building you and your child up. So, I mean, we try to entice them. And to go back to what Nicole said about being the PTA, when Dominique was here and I was the president of the PTA, and we did everything we could possibly do to try to get our Black families to come participate. We had pizza night, we had spaghetti night, we were giving food to families, but the families just did not show up for their kids.
And let me say this too, to go back to that first question about providing childcare and maybe the parents, maybe there's other children. This is a long-standing thing that has happened in the Black community for years. It wouldn't matter if it was one child to 50 children. The parents, for some reason, it's a stigma over the Black community. They don't show up.
Yeah.
They don't come. They drop off as if all of these organizations are child care facilities and not something to help build the Black community. And though we have always been raised on it takes a village.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we just have to get I think we just have to kind of get in the mindset of, yes, I can do this, as opposed to thinking about if I need to drop my child off, or if there's multiple children. I know that all is well because I have multiple children. So yes, I did have to drop one off here and drop one off at this practice, and one was going to a different school, and one was going. Yes, and then I had to work sometimes, or my car could have been broken. There's all kind of things that can come, into that may so that the parent may not be able to attend one particular event, but all. That's what we're saying. We need to build a new mindset surrounding having your child participate in these amazing with these amazing organizations. How can you restructure your life, not just around your job, but how can you restructure your life in building a healthy family? Maybe we need to look at it like that, as opposed to, I know I have to provide, I know I have to go to the grocery store, I know I got to cook, because I was overwhelmed with that, trying to make sure I got home, cooked. I have a husband, I have a dog, I have children, I have all these things that I need to do. I got to get off of work first. I got to take my kids wherever, whoever's practice. I understand that, but maybe I think it's truly about the mindset of how, we were so structured to this one thing. We can change things to make it fit to our advantage at any point in our life if we have to. We know that when we lost our loved ones, we had to shift. So I think it's all about creating this new shift and this new game of how we need to show up more for the people that matter to us the most, and also show up for ourselves, because if you're not whole, you can't be whole for your family. So I would suggest to meditate on what can you do to change the outlook of where you are now. If you don't like it, you have the ability to be able to change that for yourself and for your family. Maybe you need to do a what is that I asked you about, Olga, about your I can't think of it right now. It's not cannot come to the top of my head, but maybe we need to do a reevaluation of what your household looks like, and paint this new picture so that you can become more involved in your children's activities. Right now, I know we're trying to get back into after COVID, and things are changing. You got maybe children that are going away now. So if your children are going off to college, show up and be there for another parent to get their child at these different engagements or participating. Maybe you can, be the mom to help, just get the children where they need to go from, or just volunteer with Dominique's World, Miami Night LLC, also Jared Harson's sister. Just volunteer as a parent, even if you, y'all know what I'm saying. But hey, show up. Okay.
But I'm gonna step on some toes right now because I know
Go
I
ahead.
am.
That's what we do.
Priorities is important, and I'm speaking from a woman. I'm speaking from a wife. I'm speaking from a mother. Priorities are important, and anytime that you become a parent, you become a mother, father, your priorities shift. You said shift, and so if a child witnessed their mother doing something for a man, all right, follow me.
Go ahead now.
He shows up, she shows up for a man, even get out her bed to go look for a man. Now follow me now. I know I'm gonna step on some toes right now, but a child see that, a little boy see that, a little girl see that.
Yes,
And so it's very important that our priorities have to be our priorities. And so if you're putting your time, if you can find time to go to a club, if you can find time, I'm stepping on some toes because this is Black on Black violence, and we all know the foundation of it, and so we got to get to the root of it, and we got to talk about it. It's not just on a woman, the man too, because every time that a child does something, and the first person that they go to is the mother.
Yeah.
Well, where were you? Well, what was this? But where's the father? Nobody talks about the absent father when it comes to issue, when it comes in a household. It's always the blame is to shift the blame on the mother. You know, the mother didn't do this, the mother didn't do that, the mother didn't do this, the mother didn't do that. And so it's like, okay, if it took two to bring this child in this world, then we got to have this conversation where we got to have the Black man involved also. Because at the end of the day, this foundation and what we're talking about, it includes them also. And so here it is, 6 mothers, a wife, 6, a wife too that lost her spouse to gun violence. But here we are, we're having this conversation, and it's women. You know, we're the backbone of all the weight of everything that goes on and go wrong. It's the shift of the Black woman. But we got to have this conversation where we talk to the Black man, because we can't teach a little boy how to be a man. We can't do that. We can raise them to respect women. We can raise them to have respect, but we can't raise them to be men. We can't do that. We can teach them certain fundamentals about life, but we can't teach them how to be a man, because there's certain things that we're not going to experience that they will, and we're not going to understand. And so it takes going back to the Black man. Where are the Black fathers? Y'all got to step up, man. And I'm just being honest. Y'all have to step up, and y'all have to get in the game. Y'all have to, because lives depend on it. We need you all in the streets talking to these young men that are on the corner. We need you all in the streets getting these kids, because at the end of the day, yes, the mother can drop them off, but with the father too. You too. Let's make this where it's not just me. You know, the Me Too movement. Me too. You too. You too. Let's start that. You too. Not just me, because I can't do and drag all this weight with me with this heavy suitcase that I'm lugging every day, packed with everything on top of it. Plus, like you say, Miami, I got to get home. I got to make sure the dishes washed. I got to clean. I got to do this. I got to do that. You too. You too. Let's not forget that. You know, let's not forget that and take the brunt of everything, putting it on the woman, because the man plays an intricate part in this too.
Yes. We have some comments coming in. We have one from Andrea Sharp. She said, time is the most powerful investment that you can put in your children. Ms. Young, Rudell Young, she said, yes, absolutely. Another, it starts with the families holding each other accountable. People feel like they don't want to ruffle the feathers. The Black family used to be the model family unit. We have Shanae Johnson, keep up the good work, powerful. Some more comments coming in. Miss Tanya Lewis Rose, I think building a network amongst one another will foster an environment where parents will unite to support the family and the community. Shanae, she said, absolutely. These are all good comments.
Yes.
I just want to add to what Giovanni said, in a sense, because it may seem like I'm going the other way, but I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there a little bit. And so my situation is a little different, because co-parenting worked for us. So Leroy was present with his son, and he was a great father, yes. But then maybe the other individual or the other young men who are acting up in our world, maybe their fathers actually aren't the best model for their young men. So now every father, in my opinion, does not need to be an example for their son. So that's when I say it goes back to our foundations, because a lot of times dads are ganged up, peace sign, gun, shooting them up, and then their sons see that.
Yes, they
So
do.
we can check ourselves. We gotta check ourselves.
But that
Yeah,
piece
that's
that
why
Anisha
That's why it
said,
goes back to the network.
the
It goes
heart.
back to the network because you have grandfathers, you have uncles. It's
Yeah.
someone in that family dynamic can literally step to the forefront and help.
Yeah.
You know, so
Let me also say this for those, I think all of us collectively, we all have sons, right? That we're raising or we've raised, right?
Yes.
And we've all seen it, whether you're a single mother, whether you have been a single mother or whatever, even if the dad is a bad dad or he's not their dad, the minute that man steps in to say anything to that son, the son immediately straightens up. Okay, all right, I'll do it. Okay. You know, where he will give us backlash.
Mhm.
The mom, he'll give them like, oh, he wants to, see what he can get away with, titter totter on what he can get with. So I agree with Giovanni. The men do need to step up. Even the bad daddies need to have some kind of mentoring or whatever, some type of program for them as well, because we have to look back at the Black community has one of the highest rates of divorces in the nation. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of single parents raising children. And so when we look at that, a lot of these men don't know how to be a father. They don't know how to love as a parent, and those are things that our Black men need to just come to face with.
Yeah. And I think too, thank you so much, Nicole, for mentioning that. And I think that, what I've seen and what I know too, when it comes to co-parenting, and we're so eager to put the Black man on in the system for child support. I mean, maybe there should be more engagement with our system to help educate and, having training programs for the father and the mother to have some type of I'm sure I'm trying to say to have some type of engagement or because what I've seen in young parents, and I've also been a young parent. I was a young mother, and I didn't always get along with my children's father. So there has to be some type of mediation outside of just making a payment for a child. There has to be some mentorship there. Maybe since we're having this conversation, maybe those are things that we can help, build upon with our state departments, and saying, okay, not only are you're putting him on child support, but is there a mentorship program? Is there parenting classes? Is there, since we're talking about building families, that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're building this is Black on Black Violence Healing Day. We want to heal our community. So what resources or what can we all come together collectively, even our audience, that we can think of to help support that dynamic, to help our children, and parents, the scope of it. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I want to say this. I think that we should challenge everybody that's on our live, if they have an organization. Charmaine and I, we need to get together, and we need to do a day of just holding it together so we can all be together, and maybe hold a I am a great father forum just to help men, because men do need help. Some men didn't have that father figure in their life either.
Yeah.
So if we can get together with other organizations and form this big thing, and we do it all on the same day at the same time, I think we can make a difference. I really do.
I like it.
So.
I
like
love
that because
Yes.
That's a great idea.
Dysfunction breeds dysfunction, and so if a parent does not know, they do not know, and it's all generational, and it comes down the line. And so if no matter what you do, if that child has to go back to that home, if you're in a community and you're doing that community outreach and they have to go back to that home that's not teaching them those values that we're talking about, because there are good fathers out there, and there are fathers that step up. There are fathers that are in the game that do show up. And I acknowledge and I appreciate every last one of the Black fathers that are helping other mothers also that's not their biological children, number one, are helping within their community, because it does happen. We do see it. And I'm not negating that they aren't fathers out there that aren't doing it. It's not enough, but they are doing it. And so we want to acknowledge those fathers right now. And I give you kudos, a pat on the back. I salute you, my brother, because I don't know what it's like, because I'm a woman, and at the end of the day, our fundamental aspects is more nurturing, and the way that you all teach is totally different. And so I applaud every Black man that's out there that's rearing up kings and actually letting them know that they are kings
Yes,
and
that's
doing
right.
it properly in a way where they're showing the respect and the dignity that's needed, and we all respect that, and we'll see it in the long run, because as you pour into it, you know, when you sow those seeds, we're going to reap it and we're going to see it. And so we
absolutely.
need more of that. We need more of that. And so I salute every king that's out there that's doing it. I salute you and I stand with you. And
Thank
I just
you.
ask, you know, like we said now, just coming together where we are lifting up parents and showing them that there is something on the other side, you know, and we do have to teach parents, you know, and I know it's like, oh, they're adults, they should know better, but sometimes you don't, you know, you
Right.
only know what you know, and if it wasn't taught to you, how are you going to get it? So you don't know. And so
Absolutely.
that's
Because
a
we are
good aspect
having
in
the
the community.
conversation about it. We are going to
Yes.
continue in having these
I want to say
conversations.
this. I want to just say this, y'all. Tisa, our survivor sister in South
Hey,
Carolina,
Tisa.
she
Tisa
Hi,
is
just
Tisa.
awesome. She
Right.
is.
she just said that's a great idea, and she'd love to do that with our organization. So Charmaine, we need to get that going. We need to
We
do
will.
this.
There's another comment from Andrea Sharp. She says she's a mother of a gun violence victim and Jesus healed me. Her organization is spreadthelove.org. It's a nonprofit that supports women who have lost children on next Sunday with a Mother's Day brunch to encourage and bless. So, okay,
Amen.
Andrea.
In our audience, please, everybody,
For that.
for every organization that has dropped for everyone that has dropped their organization in the chat box, remember, donate to these organizations. This is how we're going to build our Black communities. We have to help, we have to support each other. Donate, donate, donate. I know everybody on here, at some point in this month, you can at least donate $10 to $25 to at least one of these amazing organizations that are inside of this chat box. Don't forget, if you do have your own organization, please put it in a chat box. And this, I'm sure this will be up on Facebook forever. So we can always go back into, when you're feeling a giving Monday, giving Tuesday, donate to one of the organizations that are here on today's show. Thank you so much for that. We're going to go ahead and jump into our next segment, which our next segment was on access to guns. And I know this all too well. My son, Tyke, Mr. Slug Mode Douglas, we often had candid conversations about how guns were being accessible to his area in Pensacola, Florida. And he actually told me this story after he had been shot originally in 2011. And he said, Mom, we was just kids hanging out, and we would go in this area in Pensacola where the train tracks were, and they would go in these carts, and they would be full of guns. So how is open containers of crates getting into the community in Pensacola? How is that? How is these crates being able to be transported through the railway and to sit there? I know somewhere, like I said on the podcast, there's a bill of lading, there's a tracking of how that shipment was moved. So how are we able to just have, not only in Pensacola, I'm sure it's around the United States. I also heard stories that there were there were 18 wheelers that would be left in certain communities, and they were full of guns as well. So getting back to the access of guns is a key part of us trying to understand how is this happening to our community, and why we're letting it happen, and why aren't we doing anything about it. Anybody else would like to chime in about access to guns?
I do. I just want to say this. We held a forum and we invited teenagers in and provided a safe space for them to come in, because you want the teenagers to feel safe. And we learned that A, they can rent guns for $50. B, they can purchase a gun for less than $100. And C, all that's messed up. So the access is there. It's so easy to get a gun. Why, Miami? Why?
Also, at our local, here in DeKalb County, with our local schools, one of the issues that they're having is the children are coming in and they're actually taking the guns. And the towels that you can push up, they'll go inside the bathroom and push the towels up and stuff the guns inside there so they don't carry it through the day in their book bag.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they leave, they go back into the bathroom, because if it's schools with the bathrooms that are directly in front, they go in and they, put it up there and they hide them. So kids are getting access. And like I told you guys, we were going to do a buyback here in DeKalb County. Me and Charmaine had talked about it. And what discouraged me so much was the children were happy to come and put the guns in because they were getting the money, but they were going to go back out, and they were very blunt about it. Go back out and buy another gun. So it's like it basically defeated the purpose of doing the buyback, because with the buyback, we're educating them about why you shouldn't have a gun, but it's literally falling on deaf ears. So I feel that we need to get together as a community, those who have not been affected, those who have been affected, those who have children who are high risk, whatever it is. And we need to come together with a law that we can present, something that we can present to the legislation, because right now the things that are being presented to the legislation does not protect the Black community.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talked about that because we talked about the extreme risk law, which is the red flag law, which provides a way for family members and our law enforcement to intervene when someone is showing serious signs that are at risk of harming themselves or someone else with a gun. Now, we're bringing the extreme risk law in because we understand that suicide and unintentional shootings and all of that play a major role with the access to guns. Jabanya, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, so when it comes to illegal guns, that has always been an issue within the Black community, the easy access to guns. Usually the crimes that are committed in the Black community, the gun was typically 9 times out of 10 was not legally purchased. And so we all know that there's a history of car break-ins where they're getting guns and they're having stash houses, and kids are aware of these stash houses. You have kids that have social media pages where they don't have their real names, and so they get on social media and they brag about guns, they show pictures of guns. And so I think that there needs to be something where the FBI can get involved and we can do anonymous tips or something, because at the end of the day, if we see something, we should say something. I think that we've all said that before. If you see something, if you know something, you should say something. And so with the red flag laws, they do save lives. However, it's very difficult to enforce that, because you have to go before a judge. You have to go and go before a judge and say that this person is having a mental crisis or whatever the crises may be. You only remove the guns that you are aware of, if you can enforce that to remove all the guns. But that doesn't stop that person. If we know that illegal guns are it's easy to gain access to, it doesn't stop that person from going to their next door neighbor or their friend to retrieve a gun if they are in crises when it comes to red flag laws. And so it's very difficult to actually enforce that law without any loopholes. Unintentional shooting deaths is how my story starts. My 14-year-old son was unintentionally and tragically shot and killed by a 13-year-old playing with the unsecured firearm. And so gun safety is very important. If you are a gun owner, making sure that you secure your guns, making sure that it's inaccessible to children, because we all know that children are curious by nature. And they aren't going to always do the right thing. They aren't going to always choose the safest thing. And sometimes safety goes out the window when it comes to peer pressure and other things that kind of plays a role in it. And so that's the besmartforkids.org to find more information for that. And I'll just kind of briefly go over that. That's secure your guns in your homes and your vehicle. That's the S. Making sure that gun is locked, inaccessible to your children. The M is model responsible behavior around guns, making sure that you're not showing an aggression, because it's all about teaching. It's all about teaching. Kids are watching every move that you make. If you're showing an aggression, like every time I get mad, I pull out my gun, kids are watching that. They watch TV, they watch movies, they see all of this. And so all they're doing is just taking all this in. The A is ask others about the presence of guns in their homes before you allow your child to go visit. Because right now, kids are at home for a long extended period of times because of COVID, summer break coming up. Make sure you ask others about unsecured guns in their homes. Do not allow your child to go visit without having that conversation. If your child has a peanut allergy, you're going to ask, hey, make sure that there's no peanuts. If you have a pool, making sure you say, okay, my child don't know how to swim. What are the safety parameters around this pool? So making sure you ask about guns too. It's not a conversation that we shouldn't have, because we know that asking can save lives. The R is recognize the role that guns have in suicides. Kids don't think all the way through A through Z chronologically. In the way social media is set up with bullying, one bad day, because one time, you fight, it's over. But now you have where they have videos and they're sharing it and it's sharing it and resharing. And so kids get into their mind like, okay, I can't take this anymore. So recognize that role that guns have in suicides. The T is tell others and take action. That's what I'm doing today, is tell others to be smart. It's 5 steps that we all can take to ensure the safety. I don't want your child to go visit and not return to you. You know, that's the most dreadful event and the most trauma informed event ever. You know, having my child go visit for spring break and then not seeing my child ever again. That's something that I live with every single day, and it's not an easy journey. And so I ask you all, make sure you be smart. Again, you can go on the website, besmartforkids.org. I'll make sure I put it in the chat to view the material that's there. And maybe you will see things, because over 4 million children live in homes with guns, and that's easy access. That's not including the illegal guns that we have to add in the midst of all of this. The illegal guns that are getting into the hands of teenagers, they're getting into hands of Nicole, 14-year-old, killed her son. 15, 16-year-old killed Olga's son. Like these teens are getting these access to guns, and they're getting it easy accessible because they're finding them, number one, stash houses, number two, you know, like Miami said, in trains that's just there. And where are these trains stopping? In the Black communities. They're not stopping in the white community. Let's just be real. They're not stopping in the communities. The pawn shops, they're breaking in these pawn shops, but they're not holding the pawn shop accountable.
Right.
You know, I'm not saying that I know it's your property. People shouldn't break in your property. I get that. But if you know it's happening, why not make it where it's difficult for people to do? You know, it's behind just a glass. They bust the glass and get the guns. And then before you know it, they have 50, 60 guns in the hands all over the streets, you know? And so we know that when that happens, we can guarantee there's going to be somebody's life being taken with one of those guns. And what they're going to do is stash it, put it back into the community, recycle it within the community by selling it to someone else.
And let's not forget this, Javon, you and I both you are currently and still are, I previously worked in the criminal justice system. And one of the things that we see mostly a lot of is that our community doesn't want to be involved. They don't want to be called as a witness. They don't want to give their testimony. They don't want to see, tell what they witnessed. But I challenge you guys, because not only do the trains stop in the Black community, but the tractor trailers that they unhinge, they leave them in the side of the road in the Black communities. And what a lot of times, like what Tyke told you, Miami, about the guns being stashed in there, they have guns in cars that they leave because and what they're doing is doing a stakeout to see who's going to come and steal. But some of these things, like the guns, are there for these kids to take.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
So what I meant to say, so what I'm saying is, when we see something, say, I'm sorry, when we see I'm typing at the same time, I'm sorry, but when we see something, say something. And I don't need to make a light of it, but seriously, if you see a tractor trailer in your community, you have an HOA, you know a tractor trailer is not supposed to be in your community, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, there's an abandoned trailer in this community. Please come and pick it up, have someone tow it out. Don't just ignore it. Oh, it might be Jim down the street. Who knows whose it is? He's not supposed to have it in the community. That's why you live in the HOA community, to keep your property values up. If you want to keep the property values up, do something about it.
Yeah.
And call.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I like to add before we move on to the point, like what Javon was saying about the Be Smart. My heart space is to also share for us just to be kind and to be considerate. We all do have a right to bear arms, but with that, we have a moral responsibility to one another. And my story began basically with a Black man that looked much like my late husband. A Black man from the same community on one fateful day decided to resolve a dispute with a firearm. And so that particular decision left my 7-month-old baby without a father, my 3-year-old son without his father and his best friend. And I can go on and on and on, but I won't. But the point is, we do have a responsibility when we have a firearm. And so just like everyone has said, when you see something, say something. But it doesn't only mean when you see that tractor trailer. When you hear, crazy Pookie in the neighborhood saying, when I see you, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. We have to take action to that type of conversation too, because it could be on the other end of that conversation, it could be fatal. And chances are, if someone is saying it, if they are threatening it, if it is gang related, if it is just regular feeble-minded, not having the skill set to really navigate disputes, whatever it is, if we see it, if we hear it, we have to say something. And that's from one Black man to another. It's from a mama to a son, a cousin to another cousin, a friend to a friend. You know, we have to do that as Black people because no one is going to do that for us. The policing system, we know exactly what's happening today with that. And just to even acknowledge it, policing was not made for the whole world. It was to police Black people, you know, and we're dealing with that every day. So we have to take charge of our own communities and hold each other accountable first, so we don't have to wait on law enforcement to do it.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna say this too before we move on. Same situation happened to my son. We keep saying this over and over again. If you see something, say something. The individual that took my son's life, he did say it. He said it out in the open. They didn't listen. His friends didn't believe him. And what did he do? He came back. He told them what he was going to do prior to. He came back. My son, not knowing what was going on, walked in and straight in the line of fire and was hit by a stray bullet and died. So again, later learning in our situation, we later learned too that it was an easy access to a gun.
Yeah.
He left from where he was, he went to another area, got the weapon, and then came back and used it. So again, we got to forget about, oh, I don't want to snitch. Oh, I don't want to report it. You need to report it. You need to say something about it. You are held accountable as well. If you knew that situation was happening and you didn't say anything about it, you just as guilty as the person that actually did it.
Absolutely. That was my story too, Charmaine. I second all of that.
I just want to add to what Charmaine just said. Because
but let me say this real quick. I'm sorry. Let me say this real quick because I was typing. I'm trying to keep up with these so I can get this into Charmaine. But I wanted to say, go ahead. Oh, God, I lost my thought.
well, I just want to say that what Charmaine just says is so relatable to saying something and doing something. Because how is it that a 15-year-old in my situation went on Facebook and said he needed a 40 because he had a body, and it was on Facebook? Why did no one do anything? Why did no one screenshot that, send it to the police? Why didn't somebody contact his parent? Why is it that he was telling people that he was going to be dead by 7:30? Why didn't anyone take that serious? So yes, if you see something on social media, if you see something on his phones, if you see your little nieces and nephews holding guns and doing stuff, say something, inbox that parent, call the police.
And too many adults, and I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna move on. Too many adults are on Facebook posting up with guns themselves. You have to stop it. Stop it. It is not cute and it's no way right. Don't wait until it happened to your family and then you sitting there looking all crazy because it's not right. You should not do that. And what message are you sending to the community when you're sitting up thinking that this is some type of good thing or something cute? It's nothing cute about it at all.
Yeah.
And so let me say this. I remember now. I'm gonna say this and make it quick. I just want to charge this to the single parents because you hear this a lot. They don't have time. They can't go because we're looking for solutions, right?
Yeah.
I raised my children by myself for Xavier will be 29, so 29 years. Let's put it that way, even though Ileana's 21 now. And I didn't have anyone. I didn't have grandparents coming in who would, do the side hustle raising and all that. It was me, period. And I worked a job that sometimes was over 8 hours. So I may be there late at night. I may be in court late at night, but I came home. I was known in my children's school as the pop-up mom. Because I would come in, I would clean out their lockers, I would check their book, and when they came home, I turned the book bags upside down. One, because kids had to have certain grades, right? One of them wanted to go to a high-end school, a college. So he definitely needed to do something to get a scholarship. So I had to check him. I checked and balanced my children all the time. And I got it from the number one person, my mother, because she used to come and get my stuff out of my room. So don't tell me you don't have time to check your children and check their book bags and go inside their closets and look at them. You pay the rent. You pay the mortgage. They don't have a job. So at this point, nothing is in their name. You own everything, including the tissue they wipe their butt with. So go into their rooms and check them. Stop doing this. Oh, well, he got to have privacy. He got to have this until he's paying something over yours. That's your house. Take the doors off the hinges if you have to, but you need to check him and you need to make sure that when he goes out and he tries to do something, that he will say inside his head, what'll happen if my mama find out? What'll happen if my daddy find out? What'll happen if my granddaddy find out? X stood up one day when his friends wanted to go, they wanted to go to the CVS or someplace and snatch some glasses. X said, I'm out of here. And he got up. Because he knew the consequences.
Yeah.
We have got to hold these kids accountable and stop trying to be their best friend. You got plenty of time when they're grown to be their best friend, but right now you need to guide them.
Yes,
We have
yes,
a
yes.
comment. We have a comment, and Mr. Carson said, we have an entire village that every child is accountable to. Network/village. Yes, it's what our communities need. It's easy to not respect the life of others when you have not had parents respected our entire entry into the world. So he
Yeah.
said, well, salute.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Network
you.
village.
Thank you so much for your comments, everyone. We're going to go into our next segment, which is on how trust plays a role with everyday acquaintances. Javanya?
Okay, so I'm Giovanni McDowell again. And so I want to talk about the trust issue. Anytime that you experience a loss or a tragedy, right? Whether it's intentional or unintentional, there is a part of that grief process of the uncertainty. And forging relationships become one of those things that you put up barriers because trust is a major part of our grief journey, and it's not easy. And because we've experienced a loss, that loss includes trust. It includes a loss of identity. It includes a loss of self. And so with that, the building becomes complicated when you're trying to build back, relationships with other people, because you always in the back of your mind, you have the forefront of what are their motives, especially with those that have unsolved murder issues, within the community where people haven't talked. And so your trust is more like, okay, why is this person trying to get close to me? What are they trying to do? What do they want to know? And so that plays a major part, because we all need somebody, but that somebody can't just be anybody. And we have to be made aware of that, because and we go into survival mode, right? And so there's that fight or flight where we've had trauma that we experienced. And so with that, we're trying to figure out, and we're trying to navigate ourselves, and trying to navigate ourselves requires our healing also. And we have to put our healing in the forefront. That comes with setting healthy boundaries. That comes with guarding your heart. That comes with protecting your peace. And that's at all costs, because at the end of the day, when you're trying to, and I can say with us as these ladies that are on this Zoom right now, being able to build those relationships, it takes a lot. It's not easy after you've experienced trauma. It's not easy at all. And it's hard to let your guard down sometimes, because some of us build this exterior wall where we build it and we're just like, okay, I'm not letting nobody in, because there's that lack of fear, like, okay, if I get too close to this person and this happens, and or something reminds you so much of that, you just like, oh, I shouldn't have never gotten to this. Because if you leave any conversation exasperated and empty, you have to reassess that relationship and say, you know what, this may not be for me. I can't be everything for everybody, because I'm healing myself. And people have to respect your grief journey, and they have to respect your emotions. And sometimes we can't just jump over our emotions. We got to sit in them sometimes. You got to be like, look, not today. And you have to be okay with that, because building back trust is never easy on this journey. And so you have to be able to foster that and say, be real with yourself, examine yourself and be real, because it's very, very imperative and it's important.
Thank you so much, Giovanni. Anyone else want to chime in on the role of everyday acquaintances and trust? Okay, well, we're going to move right on into our next segment, which is advocacy. Nicole.
Okay, so I sat and did a lot of thinking about advocacy. And what I thought about is the fact that there are two different types of advocacy. There are those who have a passion that they go to school for and say, okay, I'm going to be an advocate, whether it's a victim witness advocate or it's a mental health advocate, but this was something that they wanted to do because they had some passion for it. And then there are those who were brought into advocacy based on tragic or trauma or something that happened very traumatic in their life. And the difference between us who advocate for gun safety, to keep our children alive, their names alive, to keep their legacy going, our loved ones, let me say that because we do have our beautiful sister Angel here. So our loved ones, is that our journey was something that we were not invited into, we were snatched into, right? But on this journey brings healing. And a lot of people don't understand that when you advocate, what they feel is that all they see is we're repeating the story, we're reliving the tragedy, we are torturing ourselves. But what we're actually doing is that we're healing and we're educating. We're bringing awareness to our environment, our community, our world, and letting them know what we can now do, since now that we're on this side, what we can do to stop this so that it won't come to another house. I definitely push for anyone who is passionate about anything in their life to advocate for that certain thing. I was telling a friend of mine today when I posted, I don't know if you guys saw that, but I put the little banner around that I'm vaccinated. And he definitely hates that. I'm going off the subject of that, but so he had to let me know. I don't understand why you do that. And I said, because there are people in this world who are afraid to say something until they know that someone else that they trust has done it or gone through it or whatever. So by us putting out there through social media, through our marches, through going to legislators, doing whatever we need to do, when we put it out there that this is what I've done, that opens the door for another person who's suffering in silence. And go ahead, Miami, you have something to say?
I was just going to say thank you so much for that. And we all have come together because we are part of two amazing organizations, Moms Demand Action and also Everytown for Gun Safety. And if you would like to join, please text JOIN to 741-741. Plus text JOIN to 741-741. Anything else on advocacy? How has anybody want to talk about their experience?
I just want to say this. You don't have to have a particular title.
Oh, no. Wait. I'm sorry. I'm so wrong. I said that so wrong. That's not 741. Oh, that's so wrong. Okay. It is 644. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, I had
because everybody was quiet.
Yeah,
so I was
y'all did correct me. Don't do that. No, just kidding. No,
We sent it to you. We was gonna.
Thank you. Okay, I have suicide prevention on my brain too, so excuse me for that. But it's 6433. What is it, y'all? Y'all got me not even knowing what it is no more.
Is it
64433? 64433.
64433. To join Moms Demand Action, it's 64433. Please excuse me. My bad. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And I just want to say this. You don't have to be, and I'm talking to the audience, because I know you guys know this already. You ladies know this. But you don't have to have a title to be a certain person to be an advocate. Anyone that's been affected by any type of traumatic experience, whether it be gun violence or anything else tragic, you are an advocate, and you can use your voice any way you seem to be powerful to prevent these type of things from happening.
Yes.
Because I do this not only to keep Dominique's legacy alive, but I do this because you have a husband, I have nephews, you have brothers, I have sisters. You do not want this to happen to anyone. That is why I advocate.
Yes.
not even your worst enemy.
Yes.
And you don't have, and like advocacy doesn't have to be this big elaborate thing. You're an advocate for someone if you see a mother that's going through something and you wrap your arms around her.
Yes,
if you cover any woman or any person in this world that has experienced traumatic loss in any way, we cover them in prayer. What are we? Advocates. So, sometimes people get intimidated by what they see, but not knowing that, on this journey, we can be 100% authentic to who we are and do exactly what's on our heart to do. And that doesn't make you any less of an advocate as it does someone that may have a national platform.
Right. That is so true.
Yeah.
Because I started out on my journey, advocating for myself first. I started doing the actual grief work myself because I was so in such a stage of denial still from my son killing himself with a gun. So it was so difficult for me as a parent to keep hearing the word suicide. It was on the television, it was on the radio, it just really stuck in my gut every time I would hear that word. And I knew that in order for me to be able to process that better, I needed to learn and understand grief, the 5 stages of grief, denial. I wanted to understand what the anger part of, I wanted to know what the bargaining piece of, what the depression was, also what the acceptance was ended up being for me. So then I started doing the grief work of working and becoming a grief coach to a grief specialist, now a grief counselor. But I did all of that work because I really wanted to understand more about the concept of, where the mindset of an individual is and when they're going through that grieving process. So for me, advocacy started with me first, with me preparing and taking care of myself. Then once I felt that I was okay to be able to support others is when I started looking in other avenues of how I can help people to understand more about gun violence. So just as Angel stated, you can be anywhere in this journey. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be an advocate for gun violence, but hey, we would love to have you. We need all the
Right.
support that we can get. So
Yeah.
please join us.
There's so many different areas that you can work in, but also, and this is what I know for myself, self-care is so vitally important. And not everyone
yeah.
are able. We are all in different spaces and different places right now in our grief. So you can't just jump out and want to advocate, and until you first have healed yourself. Because
Absolutely.
there are times that I still have to step back. And when I say step back, it's not that I'm stepping back away from, I'm cutting back from some things that I'm doing. When I feel like I'm overcome with trying to run my own organization and work full time and being a wife, a mother, a grandmother, it's like, okay, now I need to sit and see what areas that I need to assess where I need to cut back in. So
Right.
what I'm saying is, everybody have to find that point for themselves, but also remember self-care is so important. Self-care is so vitally important. You can't do anything for anyone else until you take care of yourself first. So always reassess your situation and take care of yourself first. And if you're not there, we have survivors that have not found, cases have not even been resolved. And I'm sure that they're not, ready to jump out and just be an advocate. You have to do it when it's right for you. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. Well
also,
said.
we have in our organization, to piggyback off Charmaine, we also have better
Better help.
help.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that will also assist you during your journey of healing. And I agree with Charmaine that until you have gotten into a place to start your own self-healing, don't let anybody push you into advocating or to speaking or anything, because what you want, sometimes your message may not come across the way you want it to based on the targeted audience. And we speak to many different loops of audiences. We don't just, it's not just centered to just one part. And so the one thing that we want to negate is not to try to keep people from spewing out anger. You
Yeah.
have the right to be angry. You do have the right to be angry. You do have the right to hurt. You do have the right to cry. But then there's this other side, right? And there's this side of healing. There's this side of positivity. There's this side of you can walk and march and give the same energy without it being so angry and so hurt. So take that time, heal, and take care of yourself. And I'm the queen of stepping back, so I ain't even apologize.
And I want to say this too. And even if you are a survivor and you have signed up for a particular event that you felt at the time that you were going to be great at doing, we are often sometimes triggered, and we're still adapting to our losses. So if it's that you have to call and say, hey, we would hope that it's in enough time that you can share with the organization or the individual that you can't do it, but don't do something that is going to that's in detriment of you and how you feel and what's best for you. So oftentimes we do get triggered. And if that is a problem, just let the individual know, say, hey, I don't think that I can do it today. But if you can muster up, the strength to do it, do it. But know that it's okay for you to say no as well.
Yeah. And also every town has a great survivor network system. And I'm not saying this for you to jump in and do advocacy work. What I'm saying is they have so many resources on so many different levels that can just help you individually without actually doing the advocacy part, like the Better Health,
Right.
which is the counseling
Like
piece,
Survivors Connect, like the
Right.
grief groups. They have
Yes.
a plethora of different programs that can
Mhm.
support all of the survivors that are part of the gun violence prevention movement. Thank you to every town in Moms Demand Action.
Yes.
Anyone else? Okay. So Charmaine, justice.
Okay, so when I speak to justice, I'm saying justice may look different for everyone. There are so many cases, like I said earlier, that are still unresolved. for me, accountability mattered. It was so important to hold the individual accountable for his actions. So if there's someone who may have questions or would like to just comment, you could drop us a line and we could just, speak to what justice might look like for you. But for my family and we just wanted the person to be held accountable because that's what matters the most. We don't feel like we'll never feel like we receive justice because Jared is no longer with us. So accountability is what matters to us.
Thank you so much. Anyone else?
For me, justice for us was served. We weren't looking to, browbeat somebody over the head and hang them from a tree or whatever. We just wanted the person to be held accountable. And they got their sentence. And the most imperative part for me was forgiveness.
Yeah.
And I, anybody can look it up. Where Channel 2 recorded me forgiving the two guys that shot and killed my son. And it's a double-edged sword because as all of us who have had the teenagers shoot and kill, you look at this young person and think how much of his life he's given up.
Mm-hmm.
How much the things that he's not going to be able to do in life, and how he doesn't have the capacity to understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. In my victim impactment statement, when they were reading, when we were at sentencing, when because Tyke was the key witness to the trial that that killed his best friend Keandrick. So Tyke actually lived through the incident of having Keandrick killed, and I just felt so horrible as a mother with my child there, as a friend to the family that also lost their son, and seeing the two young boys that were there. It just broke my heart because it's 4 families that have had this traumatic experience. It was 4 families that lost young men in regards to the initial shooting. And then for us, our family had to relive that all over again 5 years later when Tyke shot and killed himself. So for me, I really wanted rehabilitation for those young boys. I don't know if it ever happened, but I know that's what I put in my my victim impact statement at sentencing, because even though we did receive justice and they'll be away for the remainder of their life, I hope that there's programs that are going to support them through that, as during their time of being incarcerated.
Yeah. That's the one thing I did encourage for the 14-year-old was that I asked him the one thing that he could do when this finally settles down in his head, what he actually did.
Right.
I'd pray that he would take his voice and use it to help others not go in his following his footsteps.
Absolutely.
I can help the 22-year-old, but the 14-year-old, it broke my heart. And to this day, I still get very emotional of the fact that he gave up his life for something that he believed in the streets.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I felt like for our family, we lost Jared. For his family, they lost him. So
Right.
It's like 2 families affected, like you said, 5 families in your situation. So I just wanted him to be held accountable, and we're thankful that accountability was there. He will spend the rest of his life in jail as well. But you're just looking at still, another young person.
And we're losing more Black men in our community.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
yeah, it doesn't affect the community. I think that's the thorn inside of all of our hips, is that it's more Black young men killing Black men, and we're losing it because our Black men are like endangered species at this moment. Because if it's not the Black man killing them, it's a police officer killing them, or some, or it's an angry woman killing them. It's somebody killing the Black man all the time, just, with the target on their head. And it still just seems like the only thing that affects our community is, the police shootings. But jumping back onto subject, we still have our sisters and our brothers who haven't gotten justice.
Yeah.
Who don't know who killed, who murdered their loved one.
I would say this: it's legal justice, but justice, we would never receive justice in this side of heaven because we don't have our loved one. And so there's legal justice within the ramifications of accountability within the legal system. And as far as, I know that some people everybody's journey is so personal, when a grief journey is so personal. And so when it comes to forgiveness, I think that that's a personal journey for everyone that's on this journey, because, some, forgiveness can come easy, but for others, it's kind of like, look, I'm not there yet. I know people 20 years in and say, I'm just not there yet. And I can't judge a person from not being there, because in the Black community, we're quick to say forgive, but then we look at it when these police brutality is like over and over and over and again. And I know we are supposed to forgive biblically, from a biblical stance, 70 times 7. So I'm not saying that, but I just think that when it comes to forgiveness, that's a person where, you're not forgiven for the person, you're forgiving yourself, but when you're ready. I think it's a personal choice when you're ready to actually extend that, where you're forgiven. I forgive you for what you caused me, because that's basically what it is. You caused me so much hurt and pain, but I'm forgiving myself also for the journey. Also, I'm forgiving myself. So that's more of a personal part when it comes to forgiveness. And the justice part, me personally, justice is not justice on this side of heaven. I say it all the time, because really it's not, only, and I'm speaking from a stance of, a personal Christian level of saying, what justice is. Only God can provide that. And I can't do that on this side of heaven. We can't receive it on this side of heaven, but the legal accountability we can. And there are, people that have unsolved cases that, that trust issue plays a big role in it, when they don't have the legal ramifications of somebody they know killed their child or their loved one. And so that's very difficult. And then I saw, and I can bring this up with the George Floyd case, I saw Breonna Taylor boyfriend standing behind them, and he received nothing. He received nothing. And as I looked at his face on the news, I just felt like, he's there supporting, but then I'm looking at it from a standpoint of he didn't receive the same. So it was never justice. It's accountability, but it's never justice, because I'm looking at a young man who got nothing, a bullet to the wall and not a life, where, that there's, it's all complicated when it comes to that particular thing, when it comes to justice, but it's legal accountability, legal justice, but not justice, in my view.
I have to say on that, Giovanni, you're right, it's personal, because everybody's journey is different. And for me, it was different than it would be for you, than it would be for Charmaine, Olga, Angel, Naomi. So we can only speak from our own personal where we are personally, or where we are in our walk. And hopefully through our journey and our speaking up, it touches those individuals that are there on each of those journeys.
Yeah.
And I just want to say this, ladies, because I applaud you ladies every time you speak about your impact statements and how you feel, because our situation was different. So for me, my impact statement was more because there was no remorse. There was no remorse from this individual. So mine was a lot different. So you may have this sense of forgiving, but my impact statement was I didn't want him to get out until Dominique got up. And so I'm saying that because it's affected my family so much, and there was no remorse at all.
Yeah.
So
we didn't have any remorse. We didn't have any remorse either. I didn't have a bit of remorse. They were looking at us like we were crazy, and they was definitely staring Tyke down in his face, and he was staring them right back at him. But for me, I just knew, seeing these two individuals sitting at the table that was prepared before them in front of my son, that was able to share the story that they did it. Their parents wasn't there. Their parents didn't even show up. Like we talked about before, their parents weren't even there when it was time for sentencing. So I just felt for me, I felt that that's what needed to happen on this side for me, that they still need support, irregardless, if I don't care how long they're going to be there. Somebody, like we're talking about, needs to do something to change the mindset of these individuals that thought that this was okay. So that's just where I was at that time writing that letter. I don't know if it was 2 days, if it had to happen 2 days later, but that particular day, that's where I was, and that's what I needed.
When we were, I understand that completely.
Actually got down on the 22-year-old because he was taunting me, and he kept turning around and he kept staring at me. He kept making remarks. He kept making all these faces. And when the sentence came down, he jumps up with a wired jaw and asked the judge, who was she talking to? Because he didn't do nothing. Because he felt like, because he wasn't the trigger man, he didn't do anything. The 14-year-old, because I worked for the system, I was getting phone calls from the juvenile telling me that the 14-year-old was walking around the jail talking about something. I ain't worried about this. I'm only gonna get 5 years and go home to my family. The 14-year-old stood over my son's body when his body dropped and said, "What now, nigga?" That's what he said. And that cut through me like a knife.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's the coldest. That's how can you be that cold at 14? Yeah. Seeing you shot someone in the head, their body's laying there bleeding, and you look over them and say, "What now, nigga?"
Yeah.
So we didn't get the remorse or anything, but I can tell you this: when that sentence came down for me, these guys got 99 plus 99 plus 99 consecutive, not concurrent sentences. When I got to the people who do the state victim witness advocate, they let me know that neither of them will be coming out of jail. They will die in prison. And because for me, I kept living on that. What if some glitch happens and they get out? And I have to walk past one of them in the store, or I have to face them, you know what I mean? Right. And so that was my justification. He gonna die in prison.
Yeah. Angel, I think Angel wanted to say something, and then we can go into her segment.
I just basically wanted to second what Olga was saying, and also what you shared. You know, my situation is much different, and it is very personal, but I can say accountability is one thing, and then understanding. I just second what Giovanni said. I'll say that and be done. There is no justice on this side of heaven without our loved ones. I second that.
Okay, we can go on into selling out and ratting out.
Okay. So I want to speak to anyone that may be chiming in or watch this live by saying, you know, what is selling out? First of all, you know, it is a concept that you don't do the right thing. You know, selling out in the context of gun violence. I will say that in any form of violence, Black on Black violence, it's a code that says, if you're cool, if you're down with what's in, you don't talk to the police, you don't give the information. And what that means for a family, I'll speak personally too. We have not had our day as a family, meaning Myron's family, his mom, his dad's side of the family, or me and his children. We haven't had our day in court. And I can tell you what it does is, because I won't go all into the scenario, but I will say there were several people there that could have said something. Yeah. And they chose not to. And what it did was it tainted an already very confusing case. And it didn't speak volumes to detectives that were investigating as to what really happened on that day. And so what does that do for somebody like me? On August 31st of this year, it will be 2 years since our loved one was taken by senseless gun violence. And the person responsible was able to give a frivolous story and account of events. And so he is still out. So what it does is it robs the survivors that loved the person that we lose. It robs us of a real chance at saying, well, hey, at least, you know, he is waiting for his day in court. It robs a family of, for one, it taints your loved one's existence when someone doesn't speak the truth about what happened. So it has a way of robbing the least outcome of a situation. I will say that. Because I'll say that was my experience with someone, you know, people saying, well, I'm not going to sell so-and-so out. Whatever happened, just happened. Yeah. You know, it devalues your loved one's life.
Thank you, Angel. Anyone else?
I just think that, you know, agreeing with Angel that we have to get rid of this street code that we've all heard, you know, snitches get stitches. You know, I don't even know, like she said, I don't even know where that came from with the ratting out and the selling out. And we said it numerous of times on this call, on this Zoom over here. You know what, people that's listening, if you see something, if you know something, you have to say something. We cannot continue to ignore, because ignoring, we know, you know, if someone threatens someone's life, you know, there's got to be a way where there has to be anonymous tips that you can give or something. You know, if you see a post on Facebook, you should be able to anonymously, report that. Or if you hear of anything, you got to be able to speak up. And I'll go back. I think I mentioned the little baby's name, the 2-year-old. I mentioned her name wrong. I said her name was Kiara, but it's Kiasia Kiki Smalls, 2-year-old that was killed in Savannah, Georgia a few years ago. I thought surely someone is going to speak up. They're going to talk. This case is going to be solved. Within a week, I had intentions, hopes of this case is going to be solved. And here we are years later, and they have not charged anyone with this baby's murder. And so I go back to the baby at the birthday party, the 3-year-old in Miami. It's just like ongoing. If it's one child, it can be another child. And I think that, there's no respect of life that people have when they have guns. They don't care. They just shoot into open buildings and shoot into this place and that place, shoot up birthday parties and churches, just different, Walmart, anywhere. And it's a uniquely American issue where it's easy access to guns. And so it's more of, we go back to, if you know something, if you see something, you have to say something. You have to say something, because it may not be your gun, but it can be your child or your loved one, or it may be your gun, because, Georgia, and here in Georgia, they don't report guns stolen out the cars. They don't have to, it's if you choose to report that your gun was stolen, but you don't necessarily have to. And so when a gun gets stolen out of a car, like, you have I just think that, reasonably, as a gun owner, you should report that, because if you report that, at least they're like, okay, they're on the lookout for this gun, that was stolen out of this or that, because it's going to be used in another crime. And so we have to be able to speak up and say something at all times. We have to do our due diligence to save lives. And that includes, if you say something, if you see something, if you know something, speak up and say something. It's too many mothers, too many fathers, too many wives, too many husbands, too many grandparents, too many family members and general siblings that are crying these same tears. And they are enough that they feel a seat. And so we have to speak up. Ignoring it is not okay. It's not okay. We must not ignore it. We have to speak up, and we have to say something, especially with this being Black on Black Violence Healing Day. We start the healing now. We have to be that bridge of hope. And it starts with all of us. It starts with you and I. We can't do it by ourselves. It's going to take all of us to make a difference.
Yes. I have one question from Mr. Carson. Is there changes to legislation to promote fairness in sentencing related to gun violence? I think leniency has made it an easy option for some to use a gun. So this question is there changes to legislation to promote fairness in sentencing related to gun violence?
Has anyone heard of any legislation in regards to that? And if we do not have the answer here today, we are making sure that we're keeping up with whatever questions that are have been asked, and we will get the answers. That's why we're here. We're going to continue in this engagement at least once a month or every other month. We haven't decided yet, but in order for us to make sure we're providing you with the information that you're requesting, we're going to do some research and find out and make sure we definitely post it or say something to the effect in our next talk. Okay.
It's quite a bit of comments that we won't
able
be able to.
Yeah, we can't address them all today, but this is why we're going to do this. And then we're going to, after we gather all the information and comments, we're going to even start asking for people to come on the show and help us, with furthering our advocacy. This is just the beginning of something that was created from all of us putting our input into the bowl and how we should do this. It was an original idea from me, but of course, these 5 beautiful women came in and say, hey, I'm with it and let's do it. So this is still developing, but we will have guests come on after a while. We are women that are going to be known as this panel. And we're going to have other survivor sisters to join in on some of the things that we're doing as well. But you can count on this 6 of being a new panelist for gun violence prevention and its safety measures. Okay, next we're going to go into affirmations.
Okay, so I'll go first. And I just want our audience to know that a lot of times you will get in a dark place. You will feel like giving up, but you cannot give up. You have a family that's dependent on you. You have this world is dependent on you. And I just want you to remember these things and repeat after me. Be strong,
Be strong.
be brave,
Be brave.
be fearless.
Be fearless.
I am strong.
I am strong.
I am courageous.
I am courageous.
I am light.
I am light.
And my favorite is I am love.
I am love.
I am love.
Now be great.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Olga. Nicole, do you have anything or?
So one of the things that I have been able to use throughout every single thing in life is that everything we focus on shall expand. So, and basically what that means is if you focus on negativity or you focus on so in this forum, because I use it in real estate, but in this forum, if you focus on, sorry, but my thing is forgiveness. If you focus on unforgiveness, if you focus on hurt, if you focus on not being healed, if you focus on your sadness instead of focusing on being healthy, then that's what you will expand. So my gift to you is that I got sick and tired of me. That's what brought me to my healing. It hurts to cry all the time. It actually takes more muscles in your face to be sad and angry and hurt than it does for you to smile. Your loved one would not want you on the side of the earth. Sorry, but they didn't want you on the side of heaven to sitting here miserable, not living your life and not living it to the fullest. So what my gift is, I'm not going to say any affirmations today, but what I'm going to give you with kind of an affirmation is to, if you're going to focus on anything, focus on your healing and focus on what you can do to bring light and love, faith, happiness, and build your legacy for that young one, that husband, or whoever, so that that legacy will go from bloodline to bloodline to bloodline. Now you have to do the work. Angel said something in her podcast. If the audience did not hear it, it was so beautiful about how she said that we now have to do the work after they're gone. That lays for everyone in the family.
Yeah.
Now have to do the work now that they're gone. So whatever that person that you spent time with said that they wanted to do in life, or their gift, or whatever it was that they wanted to see, now it's up to you to not just do yours, but do theirs as well.
Yes. Ashe. Thank you so much, Nicole. Charmaine, words to our youth.
One thing that I always say, and I try to leave and empower the youth within our organization, is to be kind always to everyone that you meet. And I'll just leave them with this quote that I love so much, and it's believe in yourself and all that you are. Know that there is something inside of you that is greater than any obstacle. You can overcome anything that you face if you just believe.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Angel Smith, Women in the Fight.
To every woman in the fight against gun violence, often we have many questions and very few answers. We wonder what our life will look like, how we raise our children. We struggle to find hope, but that is our chance at reliving and redefining. To every woman in the fight against gun violence, be encouraged. Allow God and every resource to strengthen your heart. Know that in a world that doesn't feel kind, we are loved. We are more than enough. We are capable. And because God is with us, we will not fail.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So this kind of almost ends our segment today. We're going to go into a meditation
I wanted to
to
give
close
y'all
us off.
that made me laugh real quick. It's from someone in the audience, but it was really
Sure.
cute.
Go ahead.
So Christoph Carson said, "Love you ladies. Thank you for sharing your heart, your pain, and lessons you have learned. We didn't sign up to join the sorority. I'm glad we are journaling the journey together. It makes it easier, but this part was so cute." She said, "No, I can't become a rapper. Model, yes. Rapper, no." So, I see what you're focusing on, Carson. I see what you're focusing on. Okay, let's go into meditation.
Okay. So everybody, I just would like for you to just relax yourself, get yourself in a position where you know you can concentrate and let go some of this. You know, we talked about so much, and it kind of stirs up the soul and stirs up emotions. So we want to kind of release that. And oftentimes you may hear me say, you know, face it, feel it, free it, forgive it, all of those F's, not always in that order, but sometimes I mean, I often share this with my clients and my girlfriends that oftentimes we are so overwhelmed with everything that we're trying to do. We're inundated with this daily life, but there's always a time, morning, noon, day, that you can just be able to get yourself in a space that you can release all of those things from the day. And you should try this exercise and do it often. So if you're comfortable where you are, I want you to close the outer eye and just take in a deep breath. And we're going to hold it once again for 4. Taking a deep breath, hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to release it. One more time. Taking a deep breath. Hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release it. One more time. We're going to hold in a deep breath and hold it for 4. Taking your deep breath. Hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I want you to concentrate on your feet. I want you to allow yourself to imagine that you have roots going from your feet. That means we're grounding ourselves, we're stabilizing ourselves. Now I want you to take it back up to the eyebrow. Relax your eyebrow. Relax your jaw. Relax your neck and your shoulders. Relax your arms and your hands. Relax the upper, mid, and lower back. Relax the buttocks. Relax the thighs. Relax your knees, your calves, and your feet. Be relaxed. Let anything that came up for you today resolve itself, dissolve itself, remove itself from where you are, from every thought. Relax. I want you to feel it. Whatever emotion that was stuck with you today, I want you to face it. And as you face it, if there's anything that you need to forgive within yourself or for somebody else, I want you to free it and forgive it. Now, as we go into tomorrow and even later today, I just want you to take time and take note and become aware of your surroundings, knowing that you are great, you are purposeful, and that you are here. You were brought here to do a job for the Creator. Remember those roots that are beneath your feet. They're going to surpass the space that you're in. They're going beyond the community that you live. They're reaching out past the state where you are. You're at a planetary level now. Just reside there for a moment, knowing that you're entering into a space of bliss. Relax your mind. Don't think too hard. Just relax. This is the space where you can ask any question to your higher self. If it's anything that you need to know, you can ask this question right here, and you can revisit this space often. But I just wanted you to take you to this space knowing that you have the ability to hear from Spirit. Relax. We're getting ready to come back now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can open the outer eye, slowly relax yourself, get yourself back into your body. How y'all feeling?
Rest.
Well, thank you so much, you guys, for joining It's the Miami Night Show Grief Talk on this very important day of Black on Black Violence Healing Day. We will be doing this several times over. So we're just so blessed to have each of you that have joined us today. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Amy O'Shea.
Ashe.
Slow
He's got me walking that grief walk.
Going slow mo.
He's got me talking that grief talk.
Going slow mo.
He's got me clocking the way.
It's the Miami Night Show.
Hey, yeah.
Slow mo.
He's got me walking that grief walk.
Going slow mo.
He's got me talking that grief talk.
Going slow mo.
He's got me clocking the way.
What up, tribe? It's Miami Night Show Master Grief Coach. Welcome to the Miami Night Show. He got me walking that grief walk. It's time for grief.